Right, so for today's video, we have a genre on TikTok that I've definitely never spoke about before, and it's dog psychic drama. Now, there's two main people you need to be aware of here. The first person being Chris. She's called Kristen. She's a TikToker with 530,000 followers. And the second person being Lorie Cowan, who, as we can see by the description on her page, it says, she is an animal communicator, telepathically communicating with animals alive and in spirit. A lot of people say pet psychic, like we'll hear that throughout the video, also in like the comment sections and whatnot. I guess like the official term would be animal communicator, as we're seeing here. But let's get into what's actually happened here. So Kristen uploaded a video recently where she doesn't mention any names in the video, but she says that she's seen a lot about pet psychics on TikTok, like pet psychics going viral, and she wanted to try it.
PSA for anybody else who has been swindled by the pet psychic propaganda on this app. Learn from my mistake and do not do it, okay? It is a scam. It is 100% fake news. It's a scam. From the top, it was just absolute bullcrap, okay? The reason I bought it is because I had seen a couple of viral videos, you know, the pet psychic side of TikTok. I was like, oh, that would be like a sweet little gift for my husband. And I was also thinking like, you know, I'm really curious what goes through Georgie and Minnie's little pea-sized brains.
Kristen then goes on to say that she paid $200, she received the reading, and all the information was wrong.
$200 and 8 weeks later, I get our pet reading from this pet psychic. It's a 20-minute audio about both dogs, and let me just say, from the top, not legitimate at all, okay? She asked Georgie about her food, if she likes her food, and Georgie said, yes, of course I love my food. It's the farmer's dog. None of that kibble crap that other owners give to their dogs. You guys, we don't feed Georgie and Minnie the farmer's dog, okay?
So you can kind of see where this video's going, right? We can see that all the information is wrong. We actually get to hear the reading later on, like this, what she actually received. But this is just Kristen explaining it for now. And the stuff that she was told, her dog was communicating, gets a lot wilder.
This is fake. She asks the dogs about how they feel about their mom and their dad. And she got energy that I was in a career of helping people, that I was a doctor who loves Disney. Okay, those two things could not be further from the truth. When asked about their home and their home environment, if they like it, they said that Georgie does love laying on the balcony in the sun, which is true. She also loves the pool and the sauna. Two things we do not have.
Yeah, I think the thing that was baffling me the most when I kind of first heard this is that the stuff that we're hearing here is very specific, right? The fact that she loves the pool, she loves the sauna, she's a nurse who loves helping people, she loves Disney. These are all very specific things. Now, I've seen a lot of these, like, psychics, I don't know what the right word would be, right? But a lot of these people who have been exposed before, and usually it's just a case of Googling the person beforehand to get the information, and that's where it can go wrong if you've Googled the wrong person. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly what's happened in this specific scenario right here, but when we look at the comment section, you can see that a lot of people do believe that the wrong person has been Googled. But on the flip side, as we'll also see in the comment section, there's a lot of people that believe that maybe Lorie was communicating with the wrong dog, and that's what's happened here. There's definitely some mixed theories, which we'll get into. This next part of the story is where it gets even wilder, because we hear that there are themes of war in the house, and apparently Kristen's husband has PTSD from the war, which Kristen just says couldn't be any further away from the truth.
She then asked Minnie about her relationship with her dad and, you know, how her dad is in the home. She told the psychic that there is anarchy in the home and her dad owns too many pews and there's themes of war in the home. Like Minnie's dad is a soldier, and was going on and on about how, you know, Minnie's dad, my husband, has PTSD from the war and is very depressed and could also possibly be... What? I'm sorry, what? That's an absolutely crazy thing to do in a pet reading, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that is a crazy thing. So she's received this reading back. Here's that her dog has said that her husband could potentially be suicidal. That was by far the wildest thing I heard about this. Can you imagine, like, paying for a reading for your dog? You know, you want to hear, like, if your dog's having a fun life, you know, likes the food, whatever, and then you hear something as serious as that? And like I mentioned before, the stuff that we're hearing here is very, very, very specific, which I was kind of surprised by, right? Because a lot of times when you hear stuff like this, it's very generic stuff that could be true, you know, like they might just say that you have a family member who's passed away, wants to tell you that they love you and stuff like that. Stuff that could very well be true. But the information that we're hearing in this is very, very specific, and Kristen actually goes on to mention that.
They continue just making her bag by saying generic statements about dogs like, your dog Georgie is playful and loving and cute, or something like, I'm sensing that Minnie loves to be around people. Instead, she's telling me that my husband is deeply, deeply depressed and owns too many. For the record, we don't own a Pew Pew and we never will. I don't know where that came from. And to be completely honest, I don't know what kind of drug she's on to come up with all of these statements. Like, she could have done her research and she could have looked up my name and could have sold me a really good, somewhat accurate story based off of my social media. I don't know, either she channeled the wrong Georgie and Minnie. I'm sure there are two Frenchies out there who are sisters whose names are also Georgie and Minnie. Maybe she channeled them instead of my Georgie and Minnie. I have a feeling she's probably just making all this crap up.
Okay, so a few things before we get into the next video. As we heard earlier, this was $200. Now, since these videos have came out, we later hear that Kristen ended up emailing Lorie saying like the information was wrong, and she did get a refund. We actually do have Lorie's response to this later on where she mentions this as well, and Kristen has confirmed that. Now, looking in the comments of this video, there's a lot of people who have left very similar comments to this one, saying, I found a profile under Chris Hawes that the husband is in the military, wife is a nurse, they have 2 Frenchies, I wonder if that's who she found too. And there's a lot of comments saying this, that they found someone with the same name on Facebook where a lot of this information could be true. Now, what I will say is, without actually showing it in the video, because I don't want to just like show a stranger's Facebook who really has nothing to do with this situation, probably doesn't even know what's happened on this video, you know, I don't want to show the Facebook. I did find a Facebook with the same name. I'm assuming it's the person that people are claiming in the comments. I didn't find it to match as many specific points as a lot of people are claiming in the comments, so maybe I'm looking at the wrong person, but I did find someone with the same name who definitely comes from like a military background, has made a post about the military. Their son is in the military. There's a lot of pictures at a house that has a pool. I don't know if that was their house, but it could be. But yeah, I personally couldn't find the very specifics a lot of people are mentioning here, like they have 2 Frenchies and the wife is a nurse and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but a lot of people are claiming this in the comments. Now, in the next video, we actually hear the reading. So we first of all hear the dog's response to their food.
Okay, so she asks Georgie if she likes her food.
She said, what's not to like? It's farmer's dog, the good stuff. Only the good stuff for me. Top quality 5-star stuff.
What?
None of that boring kibble.
We don't give her farmer's dog. We never have.
We then hear about this pool and sauna that doesn't exist, and then we also hear some stuff about the army.
To lay out there, sunbathe. Unless it gets too hot, then I want to come in and relax, cool off by the pool. There's a sauna. I said, do you use it? She said, of course not. I'm just telling you there is one. Dad likes it, Mom not so much. She likes other things like dancing and Disney and music and sunshine and flowers and daffodils. No. I said, what does Dad like? No. She said, shooting guns. He was in the army, the armed forces, protecting the country. Their son was too. He doesn't live here.
Their son was too?
Issues. I said,
we don't have a child. Hank has never been in the army. Sorry, this is only 6 minutes in and it's a 20-minute audio, okay, so buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, the bit that is the most baffling to me is how specific the information is here. I mean, I don't know, the comments might differ as to what's happened here, depending on if you believe in stuff like this, right? But either way, there's a lot of people obviously claiming that this stuff is just completely made up and there's no reason behind it. And I personally don't think that's the case, just because, like, that would be so easy to, like, prove, right? And show in a video and then their career's ruined because they're just lying. So I feel like if someone is going to be doing this and going to be selling this, they have to believe it. Now, whether or not you think they believe it because they've Googled the person and found the information due to, like, public information that's out there, or if you actually believe in this stuff and you think that this is actually possible, who knows? But to me personally, if I had to assume, it does feel like maybe someone has been Googled here and the wrong person has shown up, and there's all this information about this person that sounds very specific. Just so happens it's not the right person here who's actually paid for the service. Because again, the further we get into it, I have to reiterate, like, it feels like this is coming from someone who genuinely believes this information is true for whatever reason, because then we start hearing stuff about how, like, Kristen's husband might be suffering from depression.
Have any advice for your dad? She said no, he struggles with things a lot, thinks he can't do certain things. There's trauma there, possibly depression. He needs to work through it. It can't hold him back. It can't become stronger than he is. He should meditate too. They should meditate together.
Okay, let's move on to Minnie because this isn't even like the craziest part.
Okay, right, before we get to that, I just wanted to say again, like, can you imagine receiving this back with all this information that just isn't true? Like, how shocked you would be? I don't think the information being wrong would be the part that's shocking. I think a lot of people would maybe expect that that is a possibility. But I think with the details that's going into, and the seriousness as well with what's actually being discussed.
She said, diseased. I said, I don't understand. She said, I've been sick before, very sick, but I am better now, healed, heart and lungs, tummy doing very well indeed. She said, handicapped. I use a cane to walk. She said, there's too much going on here physically and mentally. It's too much. I want a calm, peaceful home without guns and anarchy. Dad shoots guns, yes. It's loud, I don't like it. It needs to go away. Him and his hunting buddies. He shoots deer, I don't like it. He shouldn't have a gun. They don't belong here. Not safe. I do not feel unloved. I am very happy. We needed to change the subject. I said, can you tell me what you like about your home? She said, the stairs. I like running up and sliding down. Plop, plop, plop.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, just way more like specific stuff. Again, talking about these guns that Kristen says they have never owned and never will. I mean, on top of that, we're hearing that the dog wishes that they lived in a home without guns and whatnot. Again, just stuff that obviously turned out to be completely inaccurate. And the thing is, there is people who genuinely do believe that they are able to, well, speak to animals in this case, right? Or just like they're psychics in general. We spoke about like a psychic situation quite a while ago at this point. But similar to that, but obviously not as serious as the previous situation, I think even if you do believe that you were able to do this, you've still got to be a bit cautious when it comes to the more serious stuff. And we are talking about stuff like depression, being suicidal, PTSD from the war and stuff like this. Like, surely you have to be a bit more cautious with that type of information because it might not be true, like in this case.
I don't like the guns at all, but I like the stairs and the slide and the grass and rolling in it.
We don't have grass.
I like being pocket-sized. It's nice. You can be pushed in a stroller. I have one. And I saw like a teal dog stroller.
We don't own one of those. We don't have one.
As for Dad, I don't like the guns and work on yourself. I said, what does this mean? She said mental health struggles. I don't want him to kill himself. And I said, Minnie, and she said, what? And I said, this is big stuff. Lock the guns away, you don't need them. I said,
yeah, I mean, look, this is absolutely wild. I can't even imagine like what I'd be thinking if I received something like this back. Again, a lot of the comment section is filled with comments like this one saying there's a lady named Kristen Hodds whose husband Eric and son were both in the military. They live in a nice house in CA that has a pool. So a lot of people clearly believe that just the wrong person is being googled here. Now, as we see in the videos, there was no names mentioned. Now, it was in the comment section of this video where we do actually hear a name, and there's this comment here that says, is this Lorie Cowan? Sounds like her, and that's who I was about to book. Please advise if I should avoid her. To which Kristen replies saying, yes, that's who this is. I wouldn't really, literally nothing was accurate. Now let's show some comments that are on Lorie's side, because there are quite a few that are in here, right? So we got comments like this one saying, not funny, your session got hijacked by an animal that was urgently trying to help their owner. It happens with pets and human readings. Sorry it happened to you. It's not that poor girl's fault. You shouldn't ruin her. I actually think this is very mean girl behavior. The lady apologized and refunded all your money, and you're dragging her name through the mud for content. Now, this is true, the money did get refunded. It is also worth noting that these videos were posted before the money got refunded, but then it is also fair to note that from what I'm seeing here, Kristen didn't email Lorie telling her that the information was inaccurate until after these videos were posted. So yeah, there are quite a few comments that are definitely on Lorie's side in this situation. I would say the vast majority of the comments that I've seen are more on like Kristen's side, or a lot of the comments are just more kind of making jokes about it, like this one saying, have you ever thought perhaps your dog is a pathological liar? But yeah, either way, let's actually get over to Lorie's response, right? So she starts off by talking about when she kind of first was made aware of this situation, also goes on to explain that she has refunded Kristen.
Yeah, so I made a video yesterday, and it was before I knew that there was this video going around that she made. She made it a few days before she emailed me about the session, so I had no idea this was going on. And when I got the email, obviously I refunded her immediately.
From this video, Lorie constantly says like she feels really bad about this situation. She agrees that the information was inaccurate. She says out of all the readings that she has done, only 2 have came back inaccurate.
And I felt really bad, and I still do feel really bad. you know, like I said in my video yesterday, I've done a lot of sessions, and there have been 2 so far where the feedback came back, all of this was wrong. And I don't know why. You know, I didn't watch her video, but I read some of the comments until like I had to stop. And, you know, a lot of people were saying I Googled the wrong person, and I don't Google people before I do sessions for them. I wish that people only put the first initial of their last name for this exact reason.
Okay, so clearly her response to a lot of people who do believe that she is Googling the wrong people here is that she doesn't do that. She doesn't Google people, and in fact, she doesn't even want to know people's like full names. And that could be true. Like I said, when I did search this person that a lot of people are mentioning, I believe I found the person that a lot of people are mentioning. It didn't seem as specific to what a lot of people were claiming. Again, maybe I'm missing something, but there definitely was quite a few coincidences there. But either way, I do believe that there are people who believe they are able to communicate with like people who have passed away, from animals in this case. Whether or not you believe that's even possible is completely up to you, but I do believe there are people who believe that they are able to do that. So maybe Lorie was just very confident with that information and went very specific with it, and it's turned out to be completely wrong. I think regardless of this video, what we've seen here is that the public reaction is basically still the same, that a lot of people do just believe that she did Google the wrong person. But who knows what's happened here? Lorie again goes on to say, like, she knows that this session was inaccurate. She knows that she has the ability to do this, but she doesn't know why it went the way it did.
So this has happened. My worst nightmare came true. You know, I know that the session, I know everything wasn't accurate. I don't know why. I've done enough sessions where there's been, you know, accurate things that I wouldn't have known. And I know I can do this, but sometimes this happens.
We hear Lorie talk about the first time that one of these sessions went wrong. She said she didn't end doing a reading for another few weeks after that. She didn't want to jump straight back in.
You know, the first time I did a session where, like the first session I did where I got this feedback, I didn't do another session for 3 weeks. And I had been doing them every day. So, yeah, it's hard for me to, like, jump back in.
Lorie then goes on to explain that sometimes animals bring up, like, these very personal, deep issues, but she has to kind of communicate everything that she is told.
When I do sessions in general, sometimes really personal shit comes up. It just does. I've had animals bring up affairs. I've had animals bring up depression. I've had animals bring up infertility. And yeah, it's very uncomfortable for me when that happens. I wish it didn't, but sometimes it does, and I'm supposed to share everything I get, no matter what.
And then finally, Lorie goes on to explain that she's done many sessions where it's all went great, but she will never say that she's 100% accurate.
So, I've done tons of sessions where, you know, they've been great. They've been accurate. There's no way, you know, I would know these things, but they're not all amazing, and I would never tell you guys, oh my god, I am the best animal communicator ever. Like, oh my god, every session is amazing, always 100% accurate, like I am the best. I would never say that. So
yeah, that is basically Lorie's response. Again, who knows what's happened to you? The whole Googling thing, the part that confused me about that is that Kristen is a person who has a big following, right? So she has 529,000 followers just on TikTok. So I would assume, in fact, I know if you were to search Kristen's name, her full name, on Google, she would be the first person to pop up. So I don't understand why the information wouldn't be similar to, like, her information, right? Because there's actually probably a lot more, like, public information out there for Kristen than there is a lot of other people, because she posts on TikTok a lot. Maybe if it is a case of Googling, Lorie just didn't believe it would be this TikTok with a big following and found someone else on Facebook, or maybe instantly went to Facebook and that was the first name that popped up. Who knows? But yeah, a very confusing situation. And one thing we do know is that it would be absolutely wild to receive this, like, reading back and the information just be, first of all, inaccurate, but also to the, like, deep level that it was, you know? It's talking about some very serious stuff in there. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. Obviously, it goes without saying, but obviously don't go and send, like, horrible messages to anyone involved in any of these videos, because Lorie did mention in a video that she's received some, like, hateful comments, and no one should be doing that. The money has been refunded, which is the right thing to do in this scenario, so yeah, like I said, no one deserves any, like, hateful comments or anything like that. I'm gonna leave the video there. So if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Also, if you're interested in some other content, me and Emily have a channel where we play games, we react to reality shows. So if you're interested in any of that, the link's always in the description. And until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Alright, goodbye.